Have you ever wondered why certain people can just get tons of followers or tons of buyers, and it seems like their method is so simple, and here you are doing so much grinding and you can't get one customer? If that's you, I'm going to share with you a story and a lesson that's going to change your life. Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Cost, and today we're going to be doing a part of our series, Marketing Like Jesus. We're going to be coming from Luke chapter 5. Let's read this. I'm going to read it in the Amplified version. Luke chapter 5 says, "Now it happened that while Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret with the people crowding all around him and listening to the word of God, that he saw two boats lying at the edge of the lake. But the fishermen had gotten out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, which was Simon's, and asked him to put out a little distance from the shore. And he sat down and he began teaching the crowds from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon Peter, 'Put out into the deep water and lower your nets for a catch of fish.' Simon replied, 'Master, we worked hard all night to the point of exhaustion and caught nothing in our nets. But at your word, I will do as you say and lower the nets again.' When they had done this, they caught a great number of fish, and their nets were at the point of breaking. They signaled to their partners in the other boats to come and help them. And they came and filled both of the boats with fish, so that they began to sink. But when Simon Peter saw this, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, 'Go away from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord.' For he and all his companions were completely astounded at the catch of the fish which they had taken. And so were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon Peter. Jesus said to Simon, 'Have no fear, from now on you will be catching men.' After they had brought their boats to land, they left everything and followed him, becoming his disciples, believing and trusting in him and his example." There's a lot in this today. I want to unpack some of it from two standpoints: you as the marketer and you as someone who God would want to use to get his message out. The first part talks about Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, where the people crowding around him listening to the word of God. He saw two boats at the edge of the lake, and the fishermen were washing their nets. I always talk about Jesus didn't lack a crowd because he knew who his crowd was. He knew who his target audience was, or his ideal client. And by knowing that, he was able to minister to them in a way where they could understand. When you are marketing or you're looking to get your solutions out there, you have to think and know that everybody is not going to receive your message. Everybody is not your target audience. The reason why we want to understand that is because if we're marketing to people who are not our target audience, what we're going to run into is burnout, and we're going to start to think that our product is actually not worth it. That's not the case. We should be marketing to people who actually are willing to pay for the solution that we have for them. If you're an organization and you're not charging, or you don't do a pay for exchange, looking for the people who want what we offer, not who just needs it. That's big. It's a big difference. You would think everyone needs your product, but everyone doesn't. You want to think about your target audience. Then he goes that he saw two boats lying at the edge of the lake, but the fishermen had gotten out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, which was Simon's, and asked him to put out a little distance from the shore. And he sat down and began teaching the crowds from the boat. We see this pattern frequently. He does the same thing because the same thing that he's doing is actually working. He's teaching them. He's teaching them about what he has to offer. He's teaching in a way that they're actually listening. Communication is key. Now, on the other side of it, where he wants to use you for his benefit as well, he uses Simon Peter's boat. He uses his boat to go a little further out so that he can actually teach them. And the cool part with that is cool part with that is he's using their boat to amplify his voice. So he's using the boat to allow his voice to talk over the water so that they actually could hear him. So that's equipment genius as well. He didn't have a fancy mic because mics weren't invented at that time. He says he got into one of the boats, which Simon asked him to put out a little distance from the shore, and he sat down and began teaching from the crowds. This is where the story starts to get real good. He's teaching the target audience. He's using Simon Peter's boat. Will you allow God to use your business for his glory as well? Will you allow it? And sometimes when we do that, it won't look exactly like every other business. I fought that so many years when I taught fitness that I never had a gym that looked exactly like a gym. And I was so mad and so irritated that I thought it should look just like a real gym. And I didn't know there was more so ministry work being done than it was just the physical work. Will you let God work through your business for his business? Verse 4, he says, when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon Peter, put out into the deep water and lower your nets for a catch of fish. Now he's doing business to business. So before that, in the first verses, he's doing business to customers. And then now he's going to be doing business to business. This is a marketing tactic too. Your marketing doesn't always have to be business to customers. It doesn't always have to be business to business. You can have both. What's the difference? A business to customer is someone who you're just supplying the need. The return is just only the money. The business to business can be a little bit different because they're usually ready buyers. They usually know their pain points. They know they have the need. They know you have the solution. They're usually willing to pay quicker, and they're usually willing to pay more because it means something more to them. Solving a business problem is way more rewarding sometimes than solving just a customer's problem. He goes to verse 5. Simon says, just like us, Simon replied, Master, we worked hard all night to the point of exhaustion and caught nothing in our nets. But at your word, I'll do as you say and lower the nets again. We've done all of the marketing tactics. We've done everything that we've known. We've grinded all night and we've gotten nowhere. If you've ever launched a course, a product, if you've ever done anything and you don't see a return, it feels like a punch in the gut. And this is where Simon is at. We've done all these things and nothing has happened. We've got nothing. And we're skilled fishermen. We have a team of fishermen who are skilled. Nothing happens. But because you said to do it, I'm going to do it. It says, verse 6, when they had done this, they caught a great number of fish, and their nets were at the point of breaking. This is now straight breakthrough. This is now your business revenue going up. He's able now to supply for his family, for his employees, and he's doing this at the word of Jesus, because when God gives you a word to do something, he has everything else lined up already. That's something that we want to understand and learn. When God tells us to do something, to bless somebody, to go somewhere, to try something new, to redo something, all the provision is already lined up. He gets now in it talks about the nets were breaking. In verse 7, the nets were breaking. At the point of breaking, they signaled to their partners in the other boat to come and help them, and they came and filled both of the boats with fish, so that they began to sink. This is amazing because everyone literally saw them doing this grinding and this hard work, and they were doing what they knew to do, but they weren't getting the outcome. And now we see that Peter does this simple step of obedience by obeying what Jesus is telling him to do. And now all of his employees are now not only seeing this, but they're also blessed as well, because now their boats are filled as well. So now he goes from scarcity to abundance. He goes from not having enough to having some wealth. He goes from not knowing if he's going to actually stay in business or be able to feed his family to having so much that he can feed the community probably. That's amazing, because God won't let you outgive him. This would be the song back in the day when I was younger that I used to say, you can't beat God given, no matter how hard you try. We get down to the next part. I want to skip down to verse 10. And so were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who are partners with Simon Peter. Jesus said to Simon, have no fear, from now on you will be catching men. Or in a different version, they talks about you will become fishers of men. This is great for business to business marketing because you want to be speaking the language of the person you're trying to get business from. That goes for business to business and business to customer. The more you can speak their language, the easier it's going to be. You ever hear somebody talking, you're like, they're talking like to me, or it's just so simple that I can understand it. It doesn't mean you need to dumb things down. It just literally means you need to speak in the language of your potential client or your business to business customer. When we do some coaching that I'm in, we usually role play, and part of the role playing is listen to the language and the words they are using, and when you talk back to them, use those same exact words, because now you have their permission. Use what they know. He tells them you're going to become fishers of men. Here's the action items for today. Number 1, I want you to go figure out who is my target audience and how can I narrow down who that is. My target audience isn't the world, it's a specific type of people. Number 2, think, what would Jesus have me do again that I probably stopped doing? Number 3, how can I learn the language of my customers or clients? And the way you do that is you poll them, ask them questions and see the verbiage that they use, see how they're saying things, and put that in your content. I'm out of here, guys. Get unstuck and go be great.